Selmer Vangaurd. This amp has come in with a couple of others which are quite tasty as well, and we'll be doing a bit of an assessment of those, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because that would be a spoiler. But anyway, back to this. So this Selmer Vangaurd is in a bit of a state, and you can already see through the grill cloth that it's missing its speaker. So let's just have a look at the top. I've not got the camera on the tripod so we can look at this because it's a bit of a tall amp when we get on the bench, so getting the tripod over is not always easy. So we can see, before we look, you even start looking at the ins and outs of it, the reverb pot has broken off. No big deal. This amp hasn't been used for a long time, I don't think. Knobs are still original on it, so that's good. I've never seen one of these before, so this is a first for me. So we're going to, in this video, we're going to assess this amp, see if it's actually worth restoring, and see if we can actually get it running. So obviously if the transformers are kiboshed, then I'm afraid this might not be a viable project, and it may not be even if the transformers aren't kiboshed. So if, we start to look at these screws and things, and they're very rusty, so has this been somewhere damp? But then again, these don't look too bad, do they? So yeah, we can see inside, so we've got a lot of dust and things in there and going on. Transformer here, power transformer, output transformer up there, reasonable size, but look at this board. Yes, let's find the lens for the macro lens, and we can go in and have a closer look. Right, let's try and get in for a bit of a fly pass with the macro lens. So you can see there's some rusty tube sockets, got a main electrolytic here by the look of it, and another cap here. We've got 3 tubes missing, so I don't know what those are, so we're going to have to look to see if there's a schematic. Just come across and you see these are rusty, the retainers for the tube, so that's obviously had, look at that one, so I would say output tube rectifier. So these are either going to be EL84s or 6BW6s. And yes, if we, obviously if I took the board out and traced it through, I could tell you from the pin out. 12AX7 there, and we've got another 12AX7. Is that a pinnacle? Can't see what that is. That one's a tongues ram. Does that say tongues ram? I think it does. They're upside down. Need to get some stronger glasses. So if we go, you can't see that one yet, can you? Because we're zoomed in so close. So you can see there, and you can see we have a broken electrolytic there. So that's broken off. Just these never secured properly, and hanging upside down they're even worse because they're not secured, and eventually takes years sometimes, but that one's broken off. Got another 12AX7 at the back there. That's a 12AY7. I've just spotted that. Oh no, it's not. Thought it was. No, it's an AX. And then we've got another, what I assume at the end here is a 12AX7. We've got a reverb transformer tucked away at the back there. We can see. Let's go in. You see him just protruding. So let's look at the state of this board. So if we bring this light up, we can probably just see inside there now. So if we look inside there, you can see we've just gone a bit too high, haven't we? So there, very thin and flimsy board, a bit cheapo. And if we look up at the top, is there another board at the top? No, that's the pilot light and all the gubbins in there. Probably struggling to see that. So yes, there looks like a considerable amount of work to get this amp restored. Do have a speaker for it to go in it, and then if we go up here, so here's another problem with this. Look at the ground. Where's the ground fastened onto the edge of there? Not particularly suitable, that. And it looks like, in fact it is, if we look there, you can see there's like a little ring, and that's loose. Look, little ring on there, that's all the ground is. That goes through this post to ground the top of the chassis. You see that ring there? That is absolutely shocking. So that wouldn't be something we'd need to address. And no one likes drilling into chassis on vintage amplifiers, but I'm afraid there would be no option there. That would have to be drilled into to make that safe. Obviously the top panel is the only metal exposed, but that's not, well, that won't even be connecting, I doubt. If it is, it won't be connecting very well. Reverb tank is in here, in this compartment here. It's always difficult when you're filming inside amps, because you can't get the lighting in unless you physically force it. So reverb tank's in here, you can see there. It's a bit of a mess. So let's see what info. Oh, someone's been working in this, by the way. And the reason I know that, if we look up there, on the top of the PC board, you can see a metal oxide resistor there. And that certainly wasn't there in the 1960s, was it? So someone's been at it. Now these, is that a date code that we've got on there? On that one, see if we can go in. Is that 68? Doublier, that is that one. Is that a doublier? It is a doublier. Doublier. Don't know. He seems to be alive. Right, just thought we'd have a look at the tablet. Just dropped it down on here quick so we could just have a quick look online. So here's a Selmer Vangaurd, and if the straight lines are a bit curved, it's because of the macro lens, because we're getting in close. But it's obviously it's very clear, so don't worry about that. It's just, we can't really help that. We want to read the information, and it's much easier to do so with this lens. So we can see there Selmer Vangaurd 1964, and someone is wanting £1,392.77 for this one, and it's in France. So yes, having looked inside this amplifier, do we see £1,392.77? I don't think we do we? But someone thinks it's worth that. Is there any others? Unlike at least it does have a back on it, which ours doesn't. See if there's any others. Let's have a look. You have to excuse me if I'm still a bit sniffly. Just at the tail end of this very nasty cold or whatever it was. Here's another. €1,480, that one. €1,480. Just yes, 1968 it says that one is. So what did it say on our cap? 68? Maybe we are right then with that cap. Maybe it is 68. In fact, I've just broken it off there. So did that say 68? Let's get the light. It did look 68, 47th week. I think that is. Just the light's probably getting a bit bright on it, but there. So so maybe this one's a 1968 then. Maybe. I think they're worth that money, and they must be getting that money. Let's now then, that's what we want to look at, don't we? The schematic. So let's hone in on the schematic. Rectifier, am I guessing we've got a rectifier? That's obviously going to be an EZ80 or an EZ81. In fact, there's a list of the tubes there. As we can see, we go in. So we've got, what? 68R8. I'll have to look that one up. Where's that? Yeah, it is 68R8. ECC83. Oh, it says 6BW6 there. So 6BW6s, well, we've got some of those. Got some military grade ones, which are very nice. And that's the beauty of having a schematic. EZ81 is the rectified tube there. So yes, someone's pilfed the tubes. So, do we have transformer problems? Don't know. Right, let's go Selmer Vangaurd 15 amplifier, so 15 watts, we know that. Let's just back out a little bit. So there we can see the top there. And we can see inside, that one looks considerably better inside than this one. 12-inch speaker, I bet this is not a bad sounding amp, you know. Both plates being mixed, that 0.01, no mixer resistors. 270k grid leak on there. Into that next stage. I'm going to have a quick look. That goes down to the reverb and then through that reverb tube. So that reverb tube is obviously is a pentode, which you can tell by looking at that. So we can more or less assume from that that is that tube, that 668R8. I'd have to say that one eludes me, unless it's got a European number, then I shall twig what it is. That's the 6BR8 there. So it is B. If we look on the tube then, 6BR8. I'm not good with the American numbers. Anyway, we'll put that one there. Right, so let's look up 6BR8. So that's not a tube I've come across before. Or although having said that, I've looked it up before because it said download again, so I must have looked at it at some point, but I see that many, you just forget. If you see them, you know, in loads and loads of amplifiers, you tend to remember them. There we go. I know quite a few of the European type tubes of these. PCF8, well, I had the PCFs because the PCF80 we used in the television tube amp that we built, but ECF80, ECF802, that's the one. So we've got a schematic to work from, so not a great one, but we can work from that. We have got, we know what tubes go in it and everything. We know its value, which is quite an expensive amplifier. But I can't believe they fetched that money, but there you go. They're asking for over £1,000 for them, so it must be a pretty rare bit of kit. So you know, the price is important on this, because obviously is this amp worth doing up? You know, is it worth restoring? Is it worth restoring? Excuse me. It's a lot of money, you know, to put into this if it's going to be a loss. So it appears it is worth restoring, and obviously to get that sort of money, you know, it's got to be restored very well. The cabinet's got to be cleaned properly and so on, you know, all the Tolex and everything. But above all, it's got to be made safe. Right, I've got some tubes in it, and we're going to fire this up on the current limiter. Who wants to bet it'll run? We are missing a capacitor, but we can easily just jumper a capacitor in there. That's no problem. but we won't even worry about that for the time being. We'll see if we get any life in this beast, if there's anything doing in it. So current limiter, let's just start with the bulbs. Let's hit the power switch. You can keep an eye on those tubes. Tell me if we see any glow in them. Well, that bulb's come on okay. We could do with tacking onto the, there's no way really without stripping it down we can get any plate volts, unless we tack onto one of those capacitors, but we'll only get the down the line voltage, but it'll be better than nothing. So that bulb is very dim, and we have got 125 volts going into it, which is dropping rapidly. That means that EZ81 must be conducting. Just got a little speaker on it, by the way, down there. If we look, just tack that on, just to and yes, it is a bit dark in there, but I've left that on purpose so we can see if the filaments are glowing. You can see that down there, and we should just be able to see the tubes as well. So you can see we've got voltage there, 196. We're not going to get the main volts because that's down the line once the tubes start conducting, but it'll give us some idea that at least we've got some volts. So if we look at the rectifier tube, I think I can see some glow in the filaments there. Another idea would be to put the signal generator through it and see if it generates. So you can see we've got 213 volts there, so that's not bad. And the bulb is dim, the 40 watt bulb, so it's not drawing hardly any current yet. I'm just going to stick another 15 in. I'm going to go up very carefully because of those capacitors and just see what happens. So another 15 in there, that's pushed the voltage up a bit more. We've got 182 going into it, so I would expect to hear a bit of sound if we're going to. Speaker's still connected up, yes. But so far it's as dead as a doornail. I don't see any filament glow in those tubes though, only in that. Yeah, you can see, so you can see the EZ81 is lit. Oh, we can see a little filament in the 6BW6s now. But it's strange, we've got nothing, have we? So again, is this why this, you know, bits have been robbed on this amp? Is the secondary open on this? Let's have a listen. Oh no, I can hear something. Very faint. Very, very faint. We could do with putting that capacitor in, really. The bulbs are still dim. Still got no sound though. 232. Let's get down with the with another 60 watts, madam. There we go. Now the voltage is coming up. We've got 213 volts going into it now. The bulbs are absolutely, you just can't even see them glowing at all, so there's no current being drawn. And now you can just about hear something. So yes, there is a grand total of nil pois coming out of this amplifier. Let's see if any tubes aren't lit. Well, I can see the 6BW6s are. I don't see any of the preamp tubes lit. Let's have a feel, and they're all cold. Oh, that one's not, but that one's cold. Well, that one's on the reverb. That one's stone cold as well. Ah, things are waking up. Let's just take that capacitor off there. No, so that doesn't seem to be doing a deal. So things are waking up. So we've got some sound now, but the amp is turned up flat out. So that tube is working. What's going on with that? Got quite a bit of frying coming through that speaker. Of course, that speaker's not very big, so we're not expecting a lot out of that, are we? Right, so we've got something now. Things are beginning to wake up a bit. So let's see if we can wake this reverb tube up. That'll put the light on now so we can see. Yes, the reverb tube's lit. That one's lit. That one's warm. That one I'm still not sure about, but it... Well, we can't get the main HT voltage very easily. But yes, that speaker would be traipsing by now. But at least it's running. We know it runs. Right, let's get tasty with the current limiter again. Let's go for 160 watts of bulbs. There we go. Now you can hear that's coming up. Now then, let's wave gen menu. Let's go for something a little less piercing to the ears. That'll do. 80 hertz. Won't be too bad through that little speaker. So you're still only 213 volts there. But then, as I say, we are taking that down the line. Yeah. So you see that cap, well, it's the one that we've jumped it in. Yeah. .200 watts of current limiting, and that's as far as we're going to go, and I'm not turning off the current limiter. That wouldn't be wise. Got 220 volts going into it. So there we go, it runs. We know it runs. It's lacking in power, in volume. Let's try another channel. Nothing on that one. Let's try the other one. And the same. Oh dear. So one input on channel 2 has got more volume than the others. We'd expect probably one of them to have a bit less. But channel 1, let's try channel 1. Yes, that's channel 1 volume. Ooh. But yeah, all the tubes are functioning now. With some very dirty sockets. They probably, I think, if we're going to resurrect this amp, well, we've resurrected it. If we're going to restore this amp, I think the new tube sockets will be required all round on this. Especially if this is going to be like £1,000 amp. Yes, so channel 2 is even sicker than channel 1 is even sicker than channel 2. Sounds like it's got capacitance on that, but it hasn't. It runs. It's very sick, very poorly indeed, but it runs. So the transformers are all good on it. So yes, a lot of work needed to be done to this amp, but I thought we'd take a look at it because it's such a rare thing. So there we go, that's the Selmer Vangaurd, and these tubes that I've put in here, switch off now, these tubes, these are CV4043, these are a military grade Brymer 6BW6, and that's what will be going in this amp. These have slightly higher dissipation, about 13.2 watts or something, and they also have a much higher plate voltage rating, something around about 350 odd volts I think. So yes, they are very nice tubes indeed. So there we go, the Selmer Vangaurd lives, and this will be coming up on the channel as a restoration at some point. Will be a while, but we've got two Mascos and a Stromberg Carlson to go through before we get to these sort of restorations. There will be repairs in between, but yes, this will be a long job. So that'll do it for this one. So thanks for watching, you all take care, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye bye for now.